is also playing blue, white, red. Significantly less bullets. He's more of a 2 and 3 of man.
Okay, all right. But I mean, we have one player in Ken that has 1 Aetherling, and Justin has 2.
Well, naturally, Justin has the advantage, but that also means Ken is certain to win. So.
Yeah, if you follow the Pro Tour Dragons base coverage, you just know how good Aetherling is in these matchups. And 2 is greater than 1, even though Ken does have an additional Aetherling in his sideboard.
Oh, so I guess the odds have evened up then.
And we are moving to a sideboard game, and Ken did win game 1.
I have a third Aetherling over
Ooh,
here, though. Yeah,
all right, so you're the favorite. Yeah, Justin
how many
is
Cavern
the favorite.
Souls do you have? Let's go to the next
dun,
tiebreaker.
dun, 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 dun.
Zero?
Uh-oh. 0.
Dose, man. God, I'm looking good over here.
You're the heavy favorite here.
Yeah, Justin, probably a pretty reasonable favorite to be able to combo Aetherling with Cavern Souls. Just played on turn 7, immediately try to kill the opponent.
You guys do see the records here. Both these players are 6-1-1, which means a draw did come into play, and most likely unintentional, as this is a pretty slow deck, but Aetherling does at least give it a clock to speed things up a little bit.
Yeah, both these players will need to win out for a shot at top 8, very likely.
So let's see what Justin, I really want to see who's going to break serve here, who's going to make the first play, as there's
Justin's
a
Cavern, and I'm going to want to know what he named with that one. I assume Shapeshifter.
Yeah, that's like
I see
super
the Aetherling
important.
in his hand already.
He named Angel.
Angel? Oh, I don't like it. We do have a Restoration Angel in our hand, but like, the Restoration Angel, courtesy of Flash, is actually, pretty easy to resolve against an opposing blue-white-red control deck if you really want to. You just wait until they do something.
Yeah, Aetherling is the hallmark card that needs to resolve in this matchup, and using a Cavern of Souls, unless he has a backup one that we haven't seen in his hand.
That's possible. We know Justin has 2 in his deck, so if he has the second Cavern, then I'm totally okay with naming Angel in the first one.
Ken has a Jace Architect of Thought in his hand, which is a 1-of in his deck, and he is going to slam that down. This was something that really defined the blue decks in Block Constructed last weekend, and that's going to get us syncopated. And I think that's correct. Like, you can't let that resolve.
I think Jace is going to be moving up in the world in Standard, especially once we get the rotation. There are less things like Falcon Wrath Aristocrat and Hellrider to be hasty beats.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, we saw that with Jace the Mind Sculptor, right? Where, like, when it initially was released around the Pro Tour in San Diego, it's like Bloodbraid Elf, Blightning, like it's not really well positioned. And then it was so good it got banned. But that's another story altogether. As Restoration Angel does blink the Augur of Bolas at the end of Ken's turn. Here come the beatdowns for 4.
Justin, has creatures on the board. He's really pressing the flash advantage here. Now that he has an actual proactive presence. Ken's on the back foot. He has to react, which means he has to start casting spells, loses the ability to respond to Justin's spells, creates a cascading effect that generally just favors Justin in the matchup.
Yep.
And it's one of the reasons I really like being able to play in this matchup.
So in for 4 more comes Justin Maguire. He did cycle Azorius Charm. He's looking for a land. He did find a land in the form of Glacial Fortress. So Ken's going to draw his card for the turn. You see a lot of lands in Ken's hand. He has it looks like, 2 copies of Sacred Foundry. There's also a Sulfur Falls hiding out over there.
In the back there. That's not very good, but he has one, I think.
Yeah, and just unable to pull the trigger, but he's got to pull the trigger on something or he's just going to die.
Yeah, literally just take lethal damage. Drew a Jace Memory Adept.
So many Jaces, so little time. You see Justin's hand right now. He has a turn burn over there. Yeah. He's got a negate. He's got a dissipate in his hand. His hand is pretty well stocked up right now, and he does have access to 4 blue mana, so he can do multiple things in one turn.
Yep. It looks like he has 2 turn burns, actually, so Ken is actually dead if that's the case.
So now here's a Aetherling.
Aetherling? That's cool.
He's going to dissipate that.
And if Justin does in fact have 2 turn burns, that will leave Ken pretty dead.
And he's casting burn right away, so burn him down to 5. Justin going to untap.
He has negate for anything Ken could possibly do to stop that angel.
Yep. And burn again.
That'll do.
He shows a hand of, a
like,
bunch of lands and a Jace Memory Adept, which is giving away a little touch of information, my friend.
It's true.
Jace Memory Adept is in the sideboard for Ken. And by showing that face up, it's something that Justin knows that he has to play around now. Or at least be concerned about, where he may not have thought that that would be a thing in the next sideboard again.
You see Justin going right to the sideboard.
Yeah, maybe reaching for something to be able to deal with a Jace Memory Adept that he should know about.
Renounce the guilds up to the front. I'm not sure what his impulse is with those.
Let's see what kind of targets we have here. And I know there's an Assemble the Legion, which that can kill.
Yep.
Other than that,
you can kill it if you have it when they play it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it gets a little trickier. You gotta start lining up wraths.
As those tokens are red and white.
They are.
He also has Ken also has a detention sphere in his deck, which Justin can destroy with it, renounce the guilds. But other than that, there actually aren't very many targets at all. So I'm a little bit surprised to see him reaching for those and potentially sideboarding those in.
It's possible it was also just a little bit of a show, you know. He wanted to make it look like he was doing some sideboarding, especially,
Sure.
you know, after he's shown the Jaces. Maybe he's going to level 3. Oh, now that you showed me you have Jaces, I'm going to bring in whatever I got for Jaces. Maybe you will get out of your Jaces.
Why are you talking like that?
I don't know. It's the rope-a-dope, you know? You gotta take on a persona here.
Yeah, what level are we on? That's the fun questions. We're going to cut back to the booth here for you guys really quick. Blue, white, red mirror match. Now this is a deck that Matthias and I talked about quite a bit. We were talking about Hallowed Fountain decks in general, about how they are poorly positioned right now, but I feel like they are just waiting for the evolution, because like Hallowed Fountain decks at the Block Constructed Pro Tour were the decks to beat. Be it Bant from Team SCG, be it Esper from Channel Fireball.
Big bullseye on their foreheads.
Yeah, like that was Revelation, Aetherling, Azorius Charm, Verdict, Jace, Architect of Thought. Like, those were the cards to beat.
Yeah, look at the decks that the other teams played. You know, obviously the bulk of Channel Fireball played Esper themselves, a Hallowed Fountain deck. But then you had, you know, Team SCG played Bant, a Hallowed Fountain deck designed to get the edge on other Hallowed Fountain decks using things like Plasm Capture.
Yep.
Then you had the Junk deck, which was popular from Channel Fireball and some members of Team Luxurious Hair.
Yep.
And they were playing the Junk deck specifically because of things like Sin Collector, which can get Sphinx's Revelation.
That's
and then
correct.
you got the Mono Red decks, which were one of the few decks to consistently beat the Sphinx's Revelation decks. So even when you have, you know, other decks in the format, it very much revolved around Sphinx's Revelation.
And it's just, you know, the translation is going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen, but the translation of Hallowed Fountain decks starting to be under the spotlight again, with Supreme Verdict, with Sphinx's Revelation, and whatever tools it wants to use to win, I feel like it's coming. Because, you know, the format's kind of laying itself out that those blue, white, red decks and those Esper decks can finally figure out what the questions are these various decks are asking and have the appropriate answers.
I think it's really going to matter what winds up replacing Flinthoof Boar for Burning Tree Emissary. That's going to be like what decides how these blue-white decks develop and survive.
Sure.
Because that Burning Tree Emissary right now is an incredible threat. And once that card becomes perhaps less lethal, might start seeing some of these control decks really take ahead. Voice of Resurgence, you know, kind of a pain, especially once Pillar rotates, but that card hasn't actually proven itself yet. We got a lot of smoke up in these chimneys,
and also as good as
not a lot of fire.
As good as it is, it can't be put into play off of Burning Tree Emissary.
That's true.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness indeed, because that's what Voice of Resurgence needed to be better.
We're going to see a Think Twice here from Justin, and does he have a fourth land? Okay,
Yeah,
so he's
got lands galore.
All right. Obviously, in control matchups, you know, the first person to miss oftentimes is the first person to lose.
I think that's even truer now that Aetherling's part of the game.
Yep.
We see that Ken has his Assemble the Legion, a card that we know is, you know, pretty powerful. Obviously, he's not going to want to run it out very quickly, though.
Yeah, does he dare slam this in the face of 4 open mana? I would have been surprised if he did, and I'm not surprised that he didn't, as Justin's going to flashback a Think Twice. He's going to draw a couple of cards here. You see him moving an Aetherling up to the front.
Well, yeah, it's a good spell.
Yeah.
He does have, I believe, one of his Cavern of Souls in his hand, so we'll probably see an Aetherling on turn 7. That's my guess.
Sphinx's Revelation for 2.
A little one. Obviously, he's hoping that Justin might counter this. If he doesn't, it's a straight up, you know, draw 2 cards. If he does, he untaps, plays Assemble the Legion, perhaps takes control of the game on the spot.
Yeah, I think maybe he was trying to pick a fight with him a little bit there, trying to induce Justin to tap some mana to do something, but Justin stayed disciplined. He did not do that. But one thing that we see here, Glenn, is that Hallowed Fountain coming into play tapped in a matchup where life total, for the most part, probably doesn't matter because we're doing Revelations back and forth. It could end up being a problem. You know, this turn, it feels like he kind of maybe dodged a bullet, right? Where, you know, he couldn't maybe do something like a Dissipate plus a Syncopate, where if he had both of those cards, like, I think you can just afford to take 2, as he does on this one.
Yeah. I think that that's maybe true. I'm trying to think of, like, what place Ken could have. I actually think it was probably a savvy tapped land on Justin's part. He knows, like, on 6 mana, Ken just can't present 2 dangerous spells in the same turn, really. He'd have to be syncopating for 2, so that means Ken would, you know, whatever he did, it would have to cost 3 mana, and Justin's probably thinking, what could he cast for 3 mana that with counter backup I would be scared of in this spot? And there's probably just not many things.
Sure. All right, so here's a Jace Memory Adept. It's time to make your move. Syncopate for 2 is the move that Justin's going to make, and that's going to remove that.
This time Justin has that 3 mana open to be able to fight a counter war if he needed to, and obviously he doesn't. There's no Dispel, but took his 2 for a reason here.
And now Justin, can slam Aetherling, right?
Well, he didn't play the Cavern,
Well, there's no reason to. Like, he's just got one blue up, so he can just slam Aetherling, have the blue mana up,
for later, maybe? Yeah,
and just say, all right, do your best. This is the ultimate challenge.
I feel like Justin is, very much taking the lead. Ken's going to take this opportunity to probably play the Assemble unless he has, a legitimate answer to Aether. Oh, wait.
No such thing, Glenn. No such thing.
Yeah, I'm puzzled. Can we look? I know, like, obviously Turn and Burn can kill it in response to it being exiled, but barring miracling a Terminus, I don't think we really had a way to make him do that.
And so now, that's an Aetherling. Yeah, that's an Aetherling of Ken's own. But as we saw last week when we were covering these tournaments, first person to play Aetherling typically wins.
First person to play it typically wins, and the person to play with a mana untapped, definitely a heavy favorite. Ken has no such luxury.
Yes. So Cavern of Souls is going to come into play. We're going to see what it's going to name here.
There's an Aetherling already in place, so we don't actually need to name Shapeshifter. Probably Angel or Human is my guess. He has a Snapcaster Mage, so maybe Human, but then again, maybe he names Angel, put some misinformation out there.
And so now basically this attack, he's going to name Wizard. This attack here is basically daring Ken to block, like my 4/5 into your 4/5. I dare you to block, and Justin has a War Leader Helix in his hand.
Yeah.
So if he blocks, they bounce off each other. War Leader Helix finishes off Ken's, but I think we're going to see Aetherling just pump up the jam here.
Yep. Yep. Take your 8. Goes down smooth.
I don't think he has any reason to use the blue to flash it back, or to flash it back in and basically give vigilance. Doesn't do anything right now.
Yeah, he's far enough ahead of the race, especially with the War Leader's Helix and Snapcaster Mage available, that he's probably just not very scared of that.
And if this is your first time, guys, basically seeing an Aetherling mirror in action, again, we saw this all weekend last week, you and I, when we were in San Diego covering the Pro Tour. And for those of you who watch the Pro Tour coverage, you probably saw it a lot too. This is what it's like.
One of the big problems for Ken here is, and one of the big advantages for Justin, is also that Ken has been missing land drops. Justin knows that. He knows that in order to keep pace with this race, it's going to cost Ken mana. Mana he just doesn't have. Like, he needs to cast other spells to even catch up. Attacking for the same amount of damage a turn behind is a good way to die, like, in short order.
Yeah.
You'll need other effects to perhaps create a fog. It's something like a Zorius Charm, or maybe a Searing Spear, which I believe we've seen Ken thumb to the front there, in order to, zap the Aetherling once Justin has started investing some mana. That's how you get ahead. You have to fog the Aetherling for multiple turns while getting in chip shots with Eurus for slightly less damage. So
now here's a War Leader's Helix. Justin putting his shields completely down, but there's no way for Ken to punish him for doing this because he only has 3 mana. Like, the best he could do is like an unsummon type card, which, taking a look at Ken's deck list, does not exist.
Yeah, it seems pretty unlikely that he would have something like that. And Ken's going to go ahead and dissipate it, probably correctly, but obviously that leaves him now vulnerable. The Aetherling can knock him again for 8, and Justin doesn't have to fear one of those fog effects we just discussed.
And now Justin draws another copy of Aetherling here to go along with a Dissipate in his hand, a land, a Sphinx's Revelation, and it's going to be tough for Ken again because just from prior experience, first one that has Aetherling and then has more mana, which obviously both of these things favor Justin, is typically the person who wins it.
Now we do need to watch out though if we're Justin, because we're at 11, which because of that Shockland hit that we had to take, that puts us directly within range of Aetherling plus Searing Spear.
Yep.
So he's probably not going to... Oh, he is going to cast. Wow. That's bold. Yeah, okay, he rethinks that one. He's like, whoa.
Take a look at the clock there.
Yeah, if we cast Aetherling here, we're actually risking dying to a wide variety of cards, unless we have a Dispel or something that I can't see.
And you see his hand, he's got Snapcaster Mage, he's got Sync, it looks like that's a Dissipate Snapcaster Mage
I'm pretty sure I would just be like Snapcaster Maging War Leader's Helix to the Dome right here. Like, what can Ken do that, like, realistically beats that? You just Snapcaster War Leader's Helix to the Dome, put him to 10, Aetherling him to 2, or whatever it is that lets you leave open some blue mana, and then just pass turn, and, like, what could Ken do to kill you?
Does he have another Helix? Does he have a Helix in the graveyard? Because the original
Helix he got dissipated.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I don't know if he has. I don't know if he has one in the graveyard. Like, he has been discarding. But I mean, I agree with that line of play as actually a good one if it were available. I don't think he has a War Leader Helix in the graveyard though. I mean, he needs to be like super cautious. However, like, I definitely agree with you that overall, like, he needs to be. He's definitely ahead, but he needs to press his advantage accordingly.
Carefully. He does. These are the spots where you don't want to just accidentally die.
Yeah.
Because you got a little overconfident.
Like, he has more lands, he has more cards. He's gonna take 2 from Steam Vents.
I think that's fine. No, it leaves him still dead to a Searing Spear in basically the same fashion. Like, if an Aetherling, hit gets through and he can't counter the Searing Spear, he would still be dead. So it doesn't really punish him that much. The only difference maker is Pillar Flame, but this is post-board. That card should not be in either of their decks.
And then it was.
And then it was. I've seen crazier things, man. Obviously, it does add a few outs for Ken to be able to even present lethal in turn and burn, which we know that he has. But from Justin's standpoint, that's probably not a big deal because he probably feels confident that he can handle, you know, a spell regardless. As long as he can handle one burn spell, he feels pretty safe.
Yeah.
And Ken knows if he goes all in here and fails, he will be dead.
All right, Ken.
I feel like Assemble the Legion has become a much worse card with the printing of Aetherling.
I do not disagree with you one bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of sensing here, because Ken like had this card that used to be like, you know, just the straight up Nutter Butters, and now it just is an actual liability. Probably wishes it was any other card in his entire deck.
That was the Mirror Breaker for a little while. It was like that and Jace Memory Adept, and I still think the Jace Memory Adept is okay in the mirror. I don't think it's great. Like I don't think it's on.
Yeah.
I don't think it's on par with Aetherling in the mirror.
No, but it's you can't just run, you know, 6 Aetherlings or whatever. You gotta have something else for them to counter.
Yeah.
And the fact that it costs 5 means you can play it before an Aetherling. You can tap out before your opponent can safely tap out for Aetherling or a Jace Memory Adept. And, you know, it pulls a counter out of their hand before you go for yours. So I actually think Jace Memory Adept probably got a little bit better with Aetherling. It's one of the better ways to sequence threats in this matchup. As opposed to Assemble the Legion, which is not nearly threatening enough.
So here's a Snapcaster Mage.
Uncounterable Snapcaster Mage. Looks like it's targeting a Zorius Charm. Yep,
Yeah.
that's cycled on turn 4 in the bouts.
And he just wants to fog an Aetherling. That's basically what this is. And so you're going to see the blink ability here.
Ken probably dead now. He has the ability to fog, but he's, you know, fallen behind in that race. He's going to have to start spending his spells to do that. And if Justin just has 2 counters, that would be it. I think he only has 1, though.
Yeah, he has Dissipated the Ready, Sphinx's Revelation, and another copy of Aetherling in his hand.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 cards that are left over there for Maguire. So he's sitting pretty right now. Is this going to...
Whoa,
Is this going to be an Assemble the Legion?
Hey, buddy. Let's put that enchantment to the back of the grip. Let's not do anything crazy. He passes, correctly so. He has 2 burn spells. He can use those to prevent Aetherling from hitting him in the face. The Aetherling comes back. Yeah, we got to make sure we get that. Justin perhaps considering calling a judgment on a trigger or something there, but that's a fine thing that just happened, so we're not going to do that. Draws a land. The judge reading Aetherling, possibly being consulted on this exact ruling.
Yeah, and I mean, he did bring it back late.
Within seconds, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, not late enough that I would be, you know, trying to get anybody there. And I've been known to try and get them.
Yeah, tell me about it. All right, unblockable. Here it comes.
It's possible he's going to do nothing. Like, if he can represent a burn spell here, and Ken has to be scared enough to, you know, potentially, you know, cast Turn and Burn and just hope Justin doesn't have a counter. Ken's, you know, been forced to that decision. Does he have a counter? Does he not? We just pump everything? No. We only needed to pump it to 6.
Yeah, we did not need to pump it to 8. I mean, I'm pretty sure we have our life totals correct. It's 9 to 6. He did not need to pump it to 8. Here's a Dissipate.
Yeah. Dissipate. We have left our Cavern untapped instead of a second blue source. That's how we can get into trouble, because now if he burns again, we're forced to respond by exiling.
And if he has another removal spell, it would be a complete and utter nightmare.
If he just untaps, attacks us, then blinks his and casts Supreme Verdict.
Yep.
That would be pretty much game, like on the spot. So Justin, a small misstep here. He tapped, you know, 2 mana he didn't have to. Left open only a Cavern. Now
that's crazy. And he has Oblivion Ring in his hand.
He has Oblivion Ring?
Ken has Oblivion Ring in his hand.
That's huge. This game just flipped completely around. Justin was, you know, so far in the driver's seat, and a very slight error. Looks like it's probably going to cost him now. Ken's probably just, you know, can't believe what's happening. He's just like, oh my god, I'm about to get to kill an Aetherling and it's going to be on camera. Has that ever happened to anybody?
And I'm going to do it with an Oblivion Ring? Like, this is the impossible.
Yeah, you can be exiled. He likes it out there. He's going to stay home.
Keeps thumbing.
Aetherling, indeed.
Yeah, he keeps thumbing Assemble the Legion to the front of his hand. He needs to just assess the situation and realize that card just does not have much of an impact on this game.
Justin basically just died. Like, no, we don't need to get unblockable. We can just attack, right? Oblivion Ring and attack. No, I'm so confused.
So he's going to make this unblockable. He's going to bounce this out.
Oh, he has the verdict?
Yeah, he has verdict.
Okay, if he has verdict, then that's better than the Oblivion Ring play. I like that fight. And he
Okay,
correctly taps his mana.
Leave a blue up. Yeah.
We're playing fast and loose over here with our lands, and Justin, probably kicking himself. Now he's in the exact same spot he'd put Ken in last turn, only Ken did it right.
Yep. And so now he draws a Restoration Angel for the turn, but it looks like we're going to see a Sphinx's Rev for 4.
And he's leaving open 2 mana because he has to draw a piece of interaction to try and perhaps fog.
3 and 4.
5, I guess?
Oh, yeah, that's for 5. Yeah, there's a stack land there.
Yep. See it now. Wow. This game. Justin,
it's called Aetherling management, my friends. Yeah. And I don't really fault Justin for that error. Like, again, when you're watching professional players, play Magic with it, like, and they were testing all week, it's like they understand like the idiosyncrasies with Aetherling and how to win the wars, and like the great lengths you have to go through to try to win these wars. Whereas, everyone's not used to it in Standard yet. So, I mean, we just watched a tournament where, like, the best players in the world are like, yeah, I know what to do in the Aetherling War. Like, it sucks, but I know what I have to accomplish. And these players may have never run into this situation before.
Yeah, one of the things, though, that you have to think is just, stage 1 of learning to play with Aetherling is keep open blue mana.
Yeah.
Like, that's really key. Even the overpump, like, you could, say maybe he was playing around some form of life gain there that his opponent could present. But... like, it makes, Ken could no longer War Leader's Helix Justin in the face, for example. He would have to War Leader's Helix the Aetherling, which he could blink out to counter. So, that actually changes the context of the play a little bit. But there's really no need to pump that high until Ken actually does something. And in this case, he wound up getting a little overeager, leaving that cavern alone open, and he got punished for it. Ken was dead no outs if that cavern was an island.
Yeah. I agree with you, and he keeps... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so he does have 6 mana. He does have 6 mana already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he can play Assemble Legion with a blue mana open, and it seems like he just really wants to cast Assemble Legion.
You know what, buddy? You've done good work. It's cool. He has 3 copies of Sphinx's Revelation as well. Those would also be fine to cast.
Yeah.
He's on 6 life, so it's a realistic concern that Justin could have just drawn 2 Searing Spears.
Yep.
So I think the Revelation works out fine here. Yeah.
And he's gonna rev now for 3, and he is tapped out of blue mana.
Yeah, he's relying on drawing a blue mana, and he did. That seems a little greedy, unless he already had one.
This was at the end step.
Oh, this was the...
Yeah, so the shield is down now for Aetherling.
What is going on here? He went to 10 there. He didn't want to die to triple Searing Spear or Helix double Searing Spear, but that seems super bold, right? Like... I feel like I'd much rather have just, waited until he actually tried to do any of those things, especially like, this game has gotten crazy. And I'm sure obviously Justin can't punish him, right?
Yeah, Justin is just like, I need to capitalize. Like, my Aetherling's gone. I need to kill his because I know what it's like not to have one. And it's awful.
Yeah.
It's a miserable experience. All right, Maguire's taking a look at the clock, seeing how much time he has to work with. You guys see it in the middle of the screen. We're about the 5-minute mark. Can he find a removal spell for Aetherling? Can he find a Supreme Verdict, assuming that they're still in his deck? Got a ton of mana in play. He's going to tap a bunch of land.
He still has his own Aetherling, right?
Yeah, he still has a copy of his own Aetherling in hand.
So if he can not die to the one that's in play, maybe he can make a little something happen here. I don't think he has any relevant spells in his graveyard, though. I could be wrong.
Snapcaster Mage. Whoa.
He's just getting the rev? Yeah.
All right. So snap, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be for 5. 3, 4, and 5.
I think those were all breaks. I'm not a math scientist, but I didn't really see any spells. I saw a rewind, 3 lands, and I think another Aetherling. Yep, that's what I saw.
Yep. So he hasn't played a land yet
for
the turn.
Business and airball.
He hasn't played a land yet for the turn, I don't think.
I think he did, actually.
Okay. Yeah, and he's discarding land, so he's just going to pass the turn back with a handful of goodies. Aetherling's going to untap. Ken's going to draw a card. Draws a Hallowed Fountain for the turn.
Yeah, he's going to probably... He can't get lethal, right? He's a little shy, yeah. So he needs 5 mana to get an 8... Or, sorry. He actually might be able to get an 8... Oh, he has exactly lethal, but he can't get through a Syncopate.
Yeah, so, yeah, what he can do here is he can go make an unblockable, pump twice to make that an attack for 6, put him down to 4.
And then that War Leader's Helix in his hand is in fact lethal. However, a syncopate for
but he
1.
did draw a land.
Did he draw a land?
Yeah, he drew a land for the turn that he has not put into play yet. I'm fairly confident.
Then he should play that, and I win the game. That would be my play.
I agree with you. That is going to get syncopated for 1.
And
and he has a land.
He has a land.
Oh my goodness!
Somewhat chagrined. He was probably fearing the gate. Would be the reason to play it this way. But he needs to probably pay 2 for that land now, right? No? We're just going to pass? I confess to being genuinely confused at this point. At a minimum, playing that land tapped is correct. It's a little embarrassing, obviously, to play the land after you get syncopated for 1, but you kind of need to do it. But I would still be taking the 2, I think.
Yeah, and you need to do it
we
just
go
to
to
protect
7,
your Aether.
then we go to 5. We're dead again to double Steering Spear, but I'd feel reasonably content that our opponent probably doesn't have that if they didn't Steering Spear the Aetherling to fog it.
So here's a think twice again. Sphinx's Rev.
I can't stand the swings of this game, man. I can't take it. I can't take it. Justin should have killed Ken like 4 turns ago.
Hey, it's back and forth. I told you, Aetherling management, if you haven't done it before in a mirror against each other, it's something like, it actually takes practice. It really does.
I'm sure elements of it take practice.
So here's a Cavern of Souls.
Snuffleupagus, that's my call. Oh, he already played
he
the land?
he played Desolate Lighthouse, yep. Which the judge correctly does point out. So now we're going to see a Rev for 1. What are you trying to draw to? He draws a War Leader's Helix. Well, here's the thing. An Aetherling is gonna win this game.
I'm not so sure. I don't think Justin can win with an Aetherling anymore.
For better or worse, an Aetherling is going to win this game. That's what's going to happen.
I think Justin's at the point where he's trying to actually just peel out.
Yeah, and Justin extends the hand because he didn't peel. Yeah, he didn't peel out. He had Revelation for 1, looking for an answer. Didn't draw 1.
Oh, that was for 1. Oh, I thought he was preparing to War Leader's Helix there. Okay. Wow. So Justin, you know, we saw him have that game. He's got to be kicking himself over the cavern over an island. If that was anything he did there, that would have been it.
Yeah, if it's an island, he does. If that untapped land is not a Cavern of Souls and it's something that produces blue mana, that's it.
That's just game. But it wasn't. Ken was able to successfully put together 3 spells in a row to threaten Aetherling's life. No small feat, really.
Makes it, yeah, that's hard to do. That is not an easy thing to do.
Note also that because Justin pumped it to 8 power instead of 6, Burn, I should say, was able to make Justin blink the Aetherling, which it wouldn't have been able to do if he had just gone for the shallow 6 pump.
Yep.
So